There are 14 of you in this course?
Usually 15, I think.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're just waiting. Let me just check my phone because sometimes people send messages. Okay, Zani's not coming. Trudy has to leave early. Okay, that's it. Is Demi G here? I haven't seen her. No, Demi G isn't here. Is coming. Okay. Wait, there she is. Okay, let's just get her in. Who's in Cape Town? Because it's very hot here today. It feels like we're going to be doing hot 26. It's very hot today, sure. Okay, I think that's everybody that is joining. So welcome, guys. And this is your Hot 26 module, which is very, very different to your Vinyasa or your flow. So we're going to do basically the same thing that we did for the Vinyasa. I'm going to just put up a PowerPoint, run through where this Hot 26 comes from. We will go through the sequence quite briefly. Then we will do a class, but I'm not going to do, you're supposed to do 2 of every posture in the beginning and then 1. We're just going to do 1 of each so that you guys can just get a feel for it. Okay, so I'm not going to kill you completely. And then we'll have a discussion about how you feel about it afterwards and any other questions that may come up. Okay, so let me get this PowerPoint up and we will start with that. Share. See if I'm better at it today. Yes, there. Okay. Okay, so please excuse my slides for saying Bikram, but I haven't had a chance to edit it and I'm not even sure, sorry, how to edit on PowerPoint. So it should be Hot 26. Beg your pardon? Okay, so, oh, hang on a second. Let me just ask you guys first. Before we do that, who watched that documentary on Bikram Choudhury? Okay, so I can't see, some people's screens are off. Oh, so there were quite a few of you that did. Okay, so you know that's why the name of this Bikram has been changed to Hot 26, because after that a lot of people were not really impressed with the man that he was or the sequence. So that was a little bit disappointing and upsetting. But anyway, Hot 26 is still a brilliant, brilliant sequence. And it's very, very good for people who have issues with their shoulders, who can't be in downward facing dogs and planks and all that kind of thing. So I would like you to just try and separate the sequence from the person that he was, Bikram Choudhury, so that you can just appreciate the sequence for what it is. And just try not to let that affect how you feel about moving through the Hot 26. So if you're wondering if that documentary affected the Hot 26 classes, no, not really. We may have 1 or 2 people that dropped out, but the Hot 26 classes are still as busy and as packed and as full as they were previously. People that do Hot 26 absolutely love it. You get the same people that come all the time. So it is a good sequence and it's still very, very popular in spite of that documentary about Bikram Choudhury. Okay. So let's go back to this now. Okay, can you guys all see that? Can you guys see the PowerPoint? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we
can
see it.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. So this Bikram was developed by that Bikram Choudhury. And the first hot class can be traced back to Japan in the 1970s. Bikram Choudhury used to practice yoga, and he was intrigued because he used to notice that the Japanese students would go and sit in saunas during their break. So they would do a yoga class, and then they'd go and sit in a sauna afterwards. So he just thought about, why doesn't he put the two things together? So he started experimenting with putting heaters in the yoga room when he first started teaching his Hot 26 sequence. And he developed this sequence of 26 postures, which is based on traditional hatha yoga postures. So they're not unique or very different to any other postures that you will find in yoga. But you will notice when we run through the sequence and we go further into this PowerPoint that he tried to make some of the poses a bit unique by just changing sort of one thing. And he also gave each of the poses different Sanskrit names. So he actually tried to patent his Hot 26 sequence. And luckily, when he went to court to try and do that, it was thrown out because these are not his postures. They are postures that can be found in yoga anyway. So he lost out, and thank goodness, because otherwise anybody that would want to teach a Hot 26 class would have to pay him franchise fees and all sorts of things. So he would probably have made even more money than he already did, because his teacher training courses were very, very, very popular. So I think he made quite a bit of money in his day. So originally the Hot 26 classes all ran for 90 minutes and in a heat of 40 degrees Celsius and 60% humidity. So it's very, very, very hot. The humidity we switch off in the beginning of the class because it steams up the mirrors and then you can't see what you're doing. And then we put the humidity on again towards the end or when you come onto the floor when the mirror is not so important. So Hot 26 is always taught with a mirror. We use the mirror very much for alignment. So it's very unusual that you would go and do a Hot 26 class without a mirror for you to look at. Okay, so most of them, well, nearly all of them have got mirrors in the front of the studio, and you face the mirrors and you practice facing the mirrors and you use the mirror for alignment and you use the mirror for aligning as the teacher gives you cues. We talk all the way, as a teacher, you talk all the way through a Hot 26 class. You are giving cues all the time. And you don't practice the class because it is impossible to practice a Hot 26 class and do it at the same time and talk at the same time and manage the heat and the music and everything else. And if you tried to do it and talk at the same time, I promise you wouldn't be able to do it. You would lose your breath. Okay, so we don't practice the class. We don't demonstrate. We just basically stand and talk and give verbal cues to help people into the postures, to do what they need to in the postures and to get them safely out of the postures. It's quite a regimental, strict kind of yoga. So it's very focused. So people need to know that they need to, when we are going into the postures, we all do it as a group. We have one water break, which comes after the opening sequence. And I'll tell you when that arrives in the sequence. So you have one chance to have a water break. And that is it, because you cannot have people trying to reach for their water bottles and drink water the whole way through class because you won't have time to finish the sequence. And it's very, very distracting for everybody else who are trying to do the balances because there's a lot of one-legged balances in Hot 26. You need a lot of focus and you need to be mindful that you're not distracting people who are in the posture. So it's quite strict. You stay on your mats. You're not allowed to leave the class. If you need a break, you can take child's pose, you can sit down, but you don't reach for your water after every single pose. You get on with what needs to be done because you only have 90 minutes to get through the sequence, or if you're teaching a class, it's an hour, you only have an hour to get through the sequence. And if I have to wait for everybody to drink water between the postures, I will never, ever, ever get that class finished in an hour. Okay, so there's one water break and that's it. The rest of the practice, you shouldn't need to drink water. Okay. Okay, so here are the 26 postures, poses. Some of them consist of 2 or 3 poses, one after the other. But basically, well, it is the same hot 26, the same 26 postures that you practice all the time, which is quite nice in judging how you are progressing in your yoga practice. Because if you're doing the same thing all the time, each time you come back to your mat, you can see, oh, I can bend it a little bit further. Oh, my back bend, I can, you know, reach a bit further in my back bend. Oh, my standing head to knee is feeling a bit stronger, whatever. So it's quite nice in that you can assess how you are advancing in your yoga practice by doing the same thing all the time. So hot 26 is the same sequence wherever you go in the whole world. So if I had to go and do a hot 26 class in Germany, it would be exactly the same postures as we do in South Africa. So even if I didn't understand the cues, but if I know the postures, I'll be able to do the class. So it's exactly the same wherever you do it in the whole world. Okay. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Bikram timing. And this is what I was saying to you about you haven't got time to faff around in a Bikram class. So this is a timing sheet. And you can see that for each of the poses, the first set and the second set are held for a specific amount of time. And the times between the first set and the second set are held for different amounts of times. The first set is usually held for a longer period of time, and the second set is held for a shorter period of time. In order to get through all those postures, I'm just going to use an hour class as an example. If I start, let's say I start my class at 5 o'clock, I need to know that by 20 to 6, that's 40 minutes in, we are on the floor for our first Shavasana. If we are not on the floor after 40 minutes for Shavasana, I've probably run over time, which means I've taken too long in some of the postures, and I'm going to run out of time in my floor sequence. And if I finish ahead of 22, 6, if I started at 5, it means that I have gone a little bit too quickly, and I've maybe not given people enough time in each of the poses. So the timing is very, very strict. It has to be almost spot on, and you need to make sure essentially too that you hold the poses, or you hold your practitioners in the pose for the same amount of time on the right side as you do on the left, because the people that come to hot 26 all the time get quite annoyed if they feel like you've held the one side for a minute and then the second side you only held for 30 seconds. So the Bikram timing is very, very important in hot 26. And it's just something that if you're wanting to teach, you're going to have to learn. Okay, once you've got it, you've got it. It does take a little bit of time to learn how to judge your timing. But once you have it, you've got it. Okay. So the Bikram timing is very important. There is no time to faff around. I cannot wait for people to have water breaks every 2 seconds. I'll never, ever, ever get through the class. Okay. So we start with pranayama, deep breathing, which is a breathing exercise, obviously. And it's a little bit different in that when you inhale, you lift your elbows up. And then when you exhale, you tilt the head back and then squeeze the elbows together in front of you, lifting away from the chest. And you do 10 rounds, and each inhalation is 6 seconds, and each exhalation is 6 seconds. Okay, so timing. You try and find a bit of a rhythm, get the breath to warm up the body, get people to find a little bit of focus with the breathing exercise. It's can be quite intense on the shoulders, can be quite intense on the back of the neck. So some people find it uncomfortable, some people don't mind it at all, but it's quite a tricky breathing exercise. But that's your first posture. Your second posture is half moon. He called it Ardha Chandrasana, which is exactly the same as you would call it in any other class. It's a side stretch. You have what you call a hot 26 bind with your hands, which is basically your Kali Mudra. If you're not sure what that is, it means you bring the palms of the hands together, you interlace the fingers, you release the index finger, and you keep your thumbs crossed. So your index fingers are pointing up and your hands are interlaced. And that bind is used in this posture and quite a few times during the rest of the sequence as well. Okay, so that's your half moon. Nothing really difficult about that. You probably would do that in a traditional yoga class as well if you were doing vinyasa. This posture consists of 3 parts. So the first part is your side bend. The second part is your back bend. So you can see her hands there. She's got that Kali Mudra, that grip with her hands. And you keep that same grip for your back bends. Okay, it's called a half moon back bend. He didn't give it a different name as far as I know. I couldn't find anything. So basically that is your back bend. And then you come into a forward fold, which is called Padahastasana, hands to feet pose. And most people will not be able to straighten their legs. Most people will have bent legs because this is very tough on the hamstrings. If you've got very open hamstrings, then you can straighten your legs, but most people are quite tight. So they will have their knees bent. And the aim of the pose here is to have your tummy and chest staying connected to your thighs. And you are trying to straighten your legs with tummy and chest connected to thighs and trying to tuck your elbows behind your knees. Your grip is underneath your feet from the back and you're standing on your fingers. Okay. Right, then we move into awkward squat. This also consists of 3 poses. The first one is just like you sitting down into a chair behind you. The second one is you lift your heels and then you lower your bottom to hover just above your knee so you don't go all the way down. The third part, you squeeze the knees and thighs together and then you slowly lower all the way down just to hover your bottom off your feet and then you slowly come all the way up. Very good for building strength in the legs, very good for building heat in the body. It's quite a tiring pose to do, so it's quite strong in the warm-up, but very good for the legs, very good for the feet, strengthening the feet. You can see you up on your toes quite a bit, which is good for strengthening the feet, good for the quads, good for the glutes. Quite a nice way to warm up the body. Okay, next one is Garudasana, eagle. And the only difference here, well, there are a few differences, but if you can look at his hands, he pulls the arms down. So that is the cue in a Hot 26 class. So in a Vinyasa class, I will cue to get the upper arms parallel to the floor. In other words, you lift your fingertips up. In Hot 26, you get cued to pull the arms down. If people's shoulders and the back body around the trapezius and the rhomboids and all those areas is very tight, they're going to battle to pull their hands down. But the aim is to allow the shoulders to open up enough eventually so that you pull your hands down and you can look over your fingertips with your eyes. There's also a lot of compression in this shape. So he's leaning slightly forward at the hips because Hot 26, Bikram Choudhury wanted compression in the hip joints. You get compression into the joints of the arms, obviously with that eagle band, and you get compression into the legs. You squeeze the inner thighs together, and obviously with that wrap, there's a lot of compression in the joints. Okay, so nothing really different about this except that you pull the hands down, and then there's a little bit more compression in other areas of the body, which you may not focus on in a eagle pose in a Vinyasa class. Okay, after this, that is the end of the warm-up. After eagle, this is your water break, your one and only official water break of practice. So you give people a couple of seconds, not long. They need to just have a little sip of water, not too much, because if you have too much, you're trying to build up heat in the body, and if you're drinking water, you're cooling that all down, which defeats the object. And if you have too much water, it's going to make you feel nauseous because there's a lot of forward folding and balancing and back bending, and so you don't want to have a tummy full of water. And remember that, that's important. So don't drink a whole gallon of water in your water break because I promise you it'll make you feel uncomfortable and maybe even nauseous. We then move on to balancing, starting with standing head to knee, Dandayamana Janu Shirshasana. There is the Sanskrit name that he gave this posture. So it starts off with folding forward over a bent leg and taking a grip with your fingers interlaced underneath the ball of your foot. Most people will stay there. That's as far as they will go. Kicking out is the next phase where you straighten out the front leg. Third phase is tucking the elbows underneath the calf muscles. And the fourth part, which is the most difficult, is getting the head to the knee. That's why it's called head to knee. So your forehead to your knee, or forehead to the shin rather, okay? Very, very tricky. I would say this is probably, for me, I find this the most difficult pose in the whole series. Your balance is challenged, obviously, because you're standing on one leg. Your hamstrings are challenged because kicking that leg out towards the front is quite difficult if your hamstrings are tight. Your balance is challenged even more when you tuck your chin, lose sight of the mirror, and touch your forehead to the knee, because looking in the mirror helps you with your balance. So as soon as you lose sight of the mirror, as you would do, as this gentleman here is doing right at the end, your balance is very tricky. So it's a difficult pose. Not easy to get into, not easy to hold. Most people, beginners, will stay in stage 1 where they just hold underneath the foot, and that's as far as they can go. They may try and kick out, but it's important that that front leg that is kicking out is parallel to the mat. Can anybody tell me where you think this might be uncomfortable in your body if that leg that you are kicking out is sort of pointing down or hanging down towards the floor? So imagine how you have that bind around your feet, but your leg that you're extending is not parallel, it's hanging down towards the mat. So there you can pick it up or stretch it out, and it's about a 45-degree lift from the floor. Where in your body do you think that that would be uncomfortable? Does anybody have an idea? No. Oops, hang on.
Well, you won't be able to get your head towards your knee then.
Good point. Okay. Think about maybe load. Where do you think if
maybe in your shoulders, because like gravity's pulling you downwards, you'll probably end up rounding your shoulders a bit.
Yes, you will. Good point. And where else in the body would it feel uncomfortable? Think a little bit also more about load. But those are good points. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. You're just going to make the pose more uncomfortable for yourself. So if I'm hanging that leg down and I've got my grip, where else in the body do you think it would be uncomfortable? Think about what your spine would be doing. Would it be long and lengthened like that in the second picture, or would it be more rounded? Where do you think you would be taking a little bit of strain if you hang that leg down? Okay, I'll tell you. In your lower back. Okay. You're adding load. You're rounding to the spine. You've got everything pulling down. You've got the weight of the leg pulling you down instead of extending forward. So you would possibly take a lot of strain in your lower back, which is what you don't want people to do, because you don't want people to injure themselves and not be able to do yoga. Okay, so it's quite important that that leg extending out can be parallel to the mat. If it's not, I give a cue. If that leg is not parallel to the mat, then please just bend the knee and just stay in that shape. Okay, because it's much safer for the lower back. Okay, so that's your first standing posture. We have 3 on one leg, 4 on one leg. Your second one is standing bow pulling pose, which is like your dancers. He called it Dandayamana Dhanurasana. It's similar to your dancer's pose, except that you are trying to square off the hips. So you're trying to get your hips squared off to the mats, and you are getting that back bend into the spine. You are pointing the fingertips towards the mirror, so you're lowering your body quite low down, whereas in a dancer's you might have your body a little bit higher. You're trying to get your chest almost parallel to the floor. You can see that lady in the third pose. I mean, she's got very, very good lift of that leg behind her. Most people wouldn't be able to do that. So it's quite a nice pose to do. A lot of people can get into it, okay? So it's quite a nice one to do. Very good for your balance. Yep, so that's your second one that you do on one leg. So you start everything on the right-hand side. So all of these postures is done on the right-hand side first. In other words, I would be balancing on my right leg first. Then you do the left-hand side. So it's always right side first and then left-hand side for every single one of the Hot 26 poses. Okay. Your next one is, he called this Tula Dandasana, which is standing balancing stick, which is basically your warrior 3. Hey, basically the same. You want one line from the fingers to the back of the toes, and it's quite nice for building up some heat in the body and getting your heart rate up, because it's quite difficult if anybody's done warrior 3. And you have that same bind with your hands. So interlace the fingers, release the index finger, your thumbs are crossed. So it's that same Hot 26 bind that you have with your hands. So that's maybe a little bit different. Okay. Then we turn towards the side of the mat, long edge of our mat, and we do our standing separate leg stretching series, Dandayamana Bhikkhattapada Paschimottanasana. He changed this pose just slightly. In the third picture, her chin should be lifted up. In other words, you don't relax your head down. You keep the chin lifted. So it's almost like instead of getting the crown of your head down in your forward fold, you're trying to get your chin down rather than the top of your head. You have a grip around the back of the heels, ideally, but you are not standing on your fingers like you did in that forward fold right at the beginning where you were standing on your hands from the back. So the grip is behind the heels, but you're not standing on your fingers. If people can't grip behind the heels, they're going to have to grip somewhere higher. So they're going to have to grip their calves or their shins or whatever they can to keep the legs straight. So basically you want to fold forward with a nice long spine as much as you can, keeping the legs straight. If the legs aren't straight, then you need to lift up a little bit higher and make your grip a little bit higher. Okay, so it's basically Prasarita, wide-legged forward fold, basically. Okay. Next one is a triangle, Trikonasana. What pose is this actually, guys? So this is not, in Vinyasa class, this would not be triangle. The triangle would have the front leg straightened. So what pose is this? If you have a look at, if you have a look at it, what pose is it? Does anybody know?
It's Utthita Parshvottanasana, extended side angle.
Yes, well done. Okay, so it's basically extended side angle. Well done. The top arm reaches straight up. In extended side angle, you may have the top arm reaching over your ear. The bottom hand floats off the floor. So the bottom fingers do not touch the mat. Quite difficult for people to hold. A lot of work for the legs, especially the one in the front that's doing the bending. Yeah, well, it's basically your extended side angle, except that you hold it for a little bit longer than you probably would in a Vinyasa class, possibly. Okay, he called that one triangle. Okay, Trikonasana. Your next one is, standing separate leg, head to knees, and Dandayamana, Bhikkhapada, Janu, Shirshasana. He had to give them all fancy names, didn't he? Okay, so most people, the idea in this pose is to get your forehead to your knee. If that means you have to bend your front leg to get your forehead to your knee, you do that. So the aim of the pose is not to straighten the front leg. The aim of the pose is to get your forehead to your knee. So if you need to bend the front knee, you bend it as much as you need to. Okay, so people with tight hamstrings will have a very generous bend in that front knee. People with sort of more open hamstrings or more length along the whole back body will be able to get into it a little bit easier, get that forehead to knee connection with the front leg straight. There's a lot of flexion in the spine, a lot of flexion, a lot of thoracic flexion, as you can see. So you actually round your upper back to dive forward into this pose. So there's a lot of flexion in the spine here. Okay. Next one is tree pose, Tadasana. Can anybody tell me what the difference is between this and a normal tree that you would do in a Vinyasa class? If you can see probably.
The 1 foot is in half lotus?
Yes. Okay, so your 1 foot is in half lotus. Okay, so it just made it a little bit different. Most people will be holding the foot with the one hand and bringing the other hand in front of their chest, because it's difficult to actually keep the foot up there on its own with both of your hands in prayer. And you'll see when you do it. Okay, so most people will be holding the foot and they'll bring one hand to their heart space, and that is what he called tree pose, Tadasana. If you find that people are all bent over, because this is what you will see, all they bent over, they're rounding the spine to grab the foot, then you just tell them to stand up into traditional tree and place the foot on the inside of the thigh. Okay, because you want their spine to be straight, you want them to be standing up tall. So if they are compensating by making themselves look really awful and uncomfortable, you can give them the option of traditional tree. Okay, and most people know what tree pose is. Okay, from tree, you have the option to fold forward into toe stand, Padangusthasana. This is quite tricky to get into, but quite a challenge to do. You would not really recommend people with knee issues fold forward into toe stand. You would recommend that they actually just stay in tree. So it is an option. Okay, this you do not have to go into toe stand. This is optional. So anybody that wants to go into toe stand can, and anybody that doesn't just stays in tree pose. Right, after that, okay, so this should have taken me, this whole part of the sequence that I've shown you so far should have taken me 40 minutes, okay, because then I'm in Shavasana. His Shavasana is different. You turn around and you face the back of the mat. So your feet face towards the back of the mat, your head faces towards the front, your heels touch, your hands are close to your hips, and your eyes are open. So it's not your traditional Shavasana where legs and arms are out wide and your eyes are closed. Your eyes are open and you just focus your gaze on the ceiling. And we spend about a minute or so in Shavasana. So after we've done that whole standing sequence, we come into Shavasana. And I need to get my timing right, because if I'm not on the floor in the correct time for Shavasana, then I've done something wrong with my timing. Okay. From Shavasana, we move into wind removing pose, Pavanamuktasana. It consists of two parts. The first part is just pulling one leg in towards your chest, and then changing it out and pulling the left leg in towards your chest, because you always start with the right, and then both legs together. Okay, so that pose consists of two parts. Nothing really tricky about this one, except that you want to try and, in the second part, you want to try and keep your spine flat. So you don't want to lift your tailbone off the floor. You want your whole spine to be flat. Okay. Then from there, we do a Bikram sit-up, which we'll do. Bring your feet together, you flex your toes. You take your arms up and over your head and you cross just your thumbs. You sit up to 90 degrees, holding your breath. And then you do a double exhale out through the mouth as you reach for your toes. Okay, that is a Bikram sit-up. We do a lot of Bikram sit-ups because you will see after every pose that we do on the floor, we turn around, face the back of the mat for our Shavasana. So we lie down in Shavasana. We do a Bikram sit-up. Then we turn around, face the front, and we move on to the next pose. So it's almost like a little reset between the poses. Like you would do your vinyasa, your chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog as a reset. This is a similar kind of thing in Hot 26. You just use it as a little reset between the shapes. Okay, we do a lot of those, especially in a 90-minute class. Let me just see that, hang on. Yes, well done, Debbie G. Extended timing. Okay. So then you turn around. Oopsie, hang on. No, that's wrong. Sorry, I've gone too far. Whoopsie. So Bikram sits up. Then you turn around, face the front of the mat, and then you lie on your tummy, and we start the spine strengthening series. The first one is Cobra Bhujangasana, same name as you would have in a vinyasa class. It's very similar to what you would do in vinyasa. Your hands are underneath your shoulders, tops of the feet are on the floor. I would not cue to look up that much with the chin, because that puts too much pressure on the cervical spine, back of the neck. So I would just say lift the chin up a little. You're not going to get any higher by lifting your chin up. You're using your back body to lift the body off the mat, and your hands are just there for support. They're very light. So you probably wouldn't get as high as this lady can. Okay. Next one is half locust, Shalabhasana. It also consists of two parts. Your hands are underneath your body with the palms of the hands facing down. So it's quite an uncomfortable shape to get into. You have your chin or the lips to the mat to protect the back of the neck. The first part, you lift your right leg up first, then lower it. You lift your left leg up first and lower it. And then the second part, you have to lift both legs up. And when I say, are we back? Did I lose you guys?
Yes, but you're back now.
Okay. And am I still screen sharing? Or is it gone? Is my connection okay, guys? I'm just going to change it. Hold on a second. Just hold on a second. Sorry. Okay, let's see if that one's better. Okay, can you guys still see the screen sharing, or has that gone? Oh, am I breaking up again? Damn it. Okay, just tell me if you can hear me, guys. This is really frustrating. This is the problem with Zoom and internet and all those other things. Let me just go back to that other connection. Let's just see if it works. Sorry, guys. Is that better? Okay. Am I back now? Okay. Are you guys still seeing the screen sharing, or has that gone?
No, it's gone.
Okay. Oh, frustrating. Okay. Share screen. We'll have to go again. Okay. All right. You should be able to see it now. Yes?
Yes, I can
Thank you. Okay, so that is your half locust, and as I was saying, the
Breaking.
second part of the pose is very difficult because you. Sorry, your legs don't float.
Oh my gosh.
You need to kick them up. Okay, so that is your half locust, and then your next one that you do on the floor is full locust, which is arms and legs lifted. So you're using your whole back body to lift the body, the chest, and the legs off the floor. And the last one that you do is Dhanurasana bow pose. Most people will not be able to get that with their shoulders like. Yeah, my back, guys, this is so frustrating. I don't know why this is happening. Sorry. Okay, am I back?
Yeah, Zama, just put your audio off.
Okay. All right, so that is your last spine strengthening exercise. It's your Dhanurasana, your floor bow. So after having done all of that, you will turn around into a Shavasana. No, sorry, you don't. Sorry. No, you don't. We do the next one first. Sorry. Next one is fixed firm pose, Supta Vajrasana. Very tricky because you take your heels outside your hips, and then you see if you can sit your bottom down between your heels, and then you see if you can lower halfway down. And if you're comfortable going all the way down, like this lady is doing in the third part, then you can do that. So people with knee issues won't be comfortable doing the shape. They can just stay seated and sitting their bottom on their heels. I wouldn't even suggest that they take their feet out. I would just tell them to keep the feet together. People that can get into the shape absolutely love it. People can stay there. It's almost like they don't want to come out when they're down there. So it's a good stretch for the quads. If you can go all the way down and it's comfortable for your knees, then it's absolutely fine. But if it's not, then obviously you just stay sitting. Don't compromise your joints. There was this thing going around Cape Town a couple of months ago that some of the teachers actually stopped teaching this pose because they felt that it was too tricky for the knees. My sentiment is if you leave a pose out, then you're not teaching Hot 26. So you offer the modification for people to stay sitting, but I wouldn't take this pose out. It's part of the sequence. I wouldn't take it out. And as I said, if people can get into it, they are very comfortable there. So I don't take it out. I teach it. It's Hot 26. I'm teaching the sequence, Hot 26. I'm not teaching Hot 26, but leaving some of the postures out because I feel like I've got different ideas. Okay. That's just my opinion. Right. So after that, you turn around into Shavasana. Then you do your Bikram sit-up. Then you turn around and you face the front and you do your half tortoise Ardha Kumbhasana, he called this. It's important for this one to keep the sitting bones connected to the heels. And basically, it's like a modified child's pose. So your arms are extending out in front of you. Your palms are together and your thumbs are crossed. Okay, so nothing too hectic about this one. Your next one is your peak pose of the whole sequence, which is Camel Ustrasana, same as you would say in a vinyasa class. Exactly the same. Students progress from holding the back of the lower back or lower down to maybe reaching down and holding for the heels. Okay, so exactly the same as you would do in a vinyasa class. There's nothing different about this shape at all, except I wouldn't drop the head back. I would tell them to lift the head up because you're creating too much extension into the throat and it makes it a bit difficult to breathe. Okay. Sasangasana rabbits. Oh, so after your camel pose, after Ardha Kumbhasana, you turn around, you lie in Shavasana, you do your sit-up. After camel pose, you turn around, you lie in Shavasana, you do your sit-up. Turn around, face the front, and then we do rabbit pose, Sasangasana. Quite a tricky pose. Most people don't know how to do this one correctly because this is one of the poses that you can't see yourself doing it in the mirror, obviously, because you're folding yourself in half and you've got your top of your head on the mat. So I often have to stop a class and demonstrate this one because people do it completely incorrectly. They keep their sitting bones on their heels instead of lifting the sitting bones up and rounding through the spine. So I sometimes, if I can see that 90% of the class are doing this one incorrectly, I will stop the class and I will demonstrate it because it is one that you get wrong because you cannot see yourself in the mirror. Okay. Then you turn around, you do your Shavasana, you do your sit-up, you face the front, and then we do head to knee pose, Janu Shirshasana. similar to what you would do in a vinyasa class, except your leg is not extended out in front of you, it's extended out towards the side. And again, it's a forehead to knee connection. So that extended leg will be as bent as you need it to be to get your forehead to touch your knee. That is the pose. It's not about straightening the leg and lifting your forehead away from your knee. You have to get your forehead to touch the knee. That is the pose. So most people will have the front leg a little bit bent to get the forehead to touch the knee. Okay. From there, you still face the front and you lie down. Actually, this is the only time you do sit up facing the front. You do the right leg first, then you do the left leg, both of those, Janu Shirshasana. You bring the feet together, you roll down onto your back, still facing the front. This is the only time that you face the front for your sit-up. Then you do your Bikram sit-up, and then you move into Paschimottanasana, which is similar to what you would do in Vinyasa. You've got a peace finger bind around your big toes. Bend the knees if you need to take some load off the lower back, and the feet are flexed. Okay, so basically the same, and he gave it the same name, Paschimottanasana. So can you see how difficult it would be to patent this sequence? Because a lot of these are just traditional yoga poses. There's nothing that is unusual about them or extremely difficult. He hasn't invented something that is mind-bogglingly new. So that is why he didn't manage to patent his sequence. Thank goodness for that. We end off with Ardha Matsyendrasana, which is your spine twisting pose, similar to what you would do in a vinyasa class. Most people will have the front arm bent and just push the elbow into the knee. You know, you'd have your like a stop sign with your hand for this twist. She's got quite an intense grip because she can even bind her back arm around her and snuggle it into the inside of her leg that's on the floor. So she's taking this twist quite far. Most people won't be able to do that. They'll just have elbow on the knee, backhand on the floor, and they'll be twisting like you would do in a normal vinyasa class. We end off with Kapalabhati breathing, which is a form of breathing. I don't know if you've done any of this in your course so far, but it's a forced exhalation coming from the belly. So you basically snap the belly button in and force the air out of your mouth. It's quite difficult to get the coordination of doing that because people battle to figure out in their brain how to actually do the breathing. But once you've got it, you've got it. And it is quite a stimulating form of breathing. Okay, so it does send a lot of energy and oxygen around the body. Okay, and then you end off in your last Shavasana, and that is your practice. So if you're doing a 90-minute class, you do 2 of every single posture, except your tree and your toe stand, you do that once, and your spinal twist, you do 1. If you're doing a 60-minute class, you do 2 of all your poses until you turn to the side where we do that forward fold. From there onwards, you just do 1 of every single posture. So it's a bit, I feel like you miss out if you do an hour, because doing a pose twice gets you to feel it a little bit better, but that is how we teach it. So 90 minutes, you do 2 of everything, and 60 minutes, you do 2 up until you turn to the side for Paschimottanasana or that forward fold, and then you just do 1 of each pose. Okay, and remember your timing is important. So that needs to be all on time. Yes, Ivanu, do you want to ask something? Yes.
Hi, Bev. I've done a lot of, Hot 26 yoga. And one of the things that I find incredibly difficult is I see that a lot of the students feel that the heat is allowing them to go deeper and deeper, and they continue to injure themselves. I know a lot of people that have injured themselves as a result of this. And we just had an adjustment class before you.
Oh, yes, yes. And?
So And my question is, I haven't seen a lot of hands-on adjustment in Bikram yoga or hot yoga, but how do you cue people to, because even if you tell them it's your practice, do what you need to do, make sure you don't injure yourself. They are like, there's just so many people that say, oh, I'm able to expand my legs so much more because it's a hot class, I'm doing it. So how do you cue them to make sure that they actually...
Yes. Good question. It definitely, the heat does definitely give people the ability to maybe do things that they wouldn't be able to do without the heat. It's so difficult because, as you say, I mean, we cue people to listen to their bodies, to do what they feel that they can do, but you obviously get those people that take it too far. You don't really have time to do physical adjustments in a Hot 26 class. Okay, there's just no time. You're holding the poses for a certain amount of time. Also, you can't be, if people are in a balanced pose, I can't be walking around in front of them to go and adjust people because I'm going to throw them off their balance. So I need to stand out of the way and let people get into the poses on their own. In terms of injuring themselves, I must say I haven't had anybody, touch wood, that has injured themselves in a Hot 26 class that I know of. But I can understand that people would. I can understand with that extending the front leg out and you're standing head to knee, people's hamstrings probably will take a little bit of strain. Or in that forward fold where you're trying to straighten the back of the legs, maybe people would injure themselves there. I can't think of any other serious injuries except if you do something silly, like if you have issues with your knees and then you take that Virasana pose. I mean, that's just silly to do that. If you know you have issues with your knees, you just don't go and lie down in that pose. So it is difficult, and you have to just trust that people will listen to their bodies. You can't do anything else. I can't tell just by looking at somebody if they've gone too far. Only they can feel it in their bodies. And the problem is the hypermobile people will probably be the ones that get more injured because they will just be able to take it even further. So those people need to sort of rein it in. And if I do see somebody that's hypermobile, I will say something to them after the class. I can't say anything in class, but I will probably say, wow, you look like you can really stretch it. Just be mindful that you don't overdo it because the heat does give you that ability to stretch even more. So I might say something to the person after the class. I can't say something during the class. And obviously, if somebody arrives and I don't know them, I don't know until I see their practice what is going to go on in their bodies. But you are right. It is difficult because people think that they can do more, and they can. Okay. Any other questions about the sequence, about the poses, about teaching it? Okay. Wait, Zama? Yes, Zama?
I'm just curious, with some of the poses that have changed names, but they are exactly the same as the original poses, are you calling them by the original poses, or the one that Bikram has now renamed, like the tree pose?
I call them the Hot 26 names. I don't use vinyasa names, but I don't say the Sanskrit name. I might for camel or Padangusthasana, but not for those long-winded Dandayamana, Dhanashasana. I don't say that. But I do say standing bow pulling pose, and I do say wide-legged, a separate leg stretching series for our Paschimottanasana. So we don't use the vinyasa names. Okay, so we use the Sanskrit, we use the Hot 26 names, but I don't necessarily say the Sanskrit names. Most of the time it's just normal. Okay. Ardha Kamasana I sometimes use. Standing bow pulling bows is always just that. I never use the Sanskrit. Most of it is, and Trikonasana, I might say Trikonasana. So some of them, if they're easy and they're quick, then I will. But if it's those long-winded things, I don't think it's necessary. I just say it in English. Okay.
And then my second question is, if you see that your time has elapsed, do you now shorten the pose, like make it, as opposed to 2 poses, would you make it 1, or do you end up taking out some of the poses?
I missed the beginning part of your question. Sorry, just go back to the beginning.
If you feel like the time, you've already gone over the time limit that you're supposed to be at a certain pose by, do you now shorten the pose? Do you make it 1 pose as opposed to 2, or do you remove it completely?
No. So basically, you will have to do 2 of the poses and then 1 of each until you come down onto the floor in your Shavasana. If I find that I have gone over my timing, then I shorten the spine strengthening series and what we do on the floor, but I don't shorten it by leaving the main poses out. I may shorten it by leaving some of the Shavasanas and the Bikram sit-ups out. So instead of turning around every single time, for example, between Ardha Kamasana, where you fold it forward like a child's pose, and camel, I would leave out turning around and doing Shavasana and the sit-up. So I don't shorten the poses. I don't leave out the poses, but I try and find a way to shorten it by leaving out those transitions. That's the best way to do it, because you don't want to take that away from people. You still want them to be able to do the poses for the correct amount of time and to leave the poses that they need in. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, because we don't always, I mean, it's possible. You don't always get your timing 100% on. You might have a beginner that's taking a little bit longer to get in, and you feel like you need to cue a little bit more, a little bit slower or whatever. So sometimes your timing is a little bit off, but the more that you do it, the more you practice it, the more that you teach it, the more that your timing will be in line with what is supposed to happen. Okay. Okay, Demi G, you don't want to ask that question anymore, or do you? Okay, you're fine. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so the thing about Hot 26, although it looks like and it can be quite complicated because there's a lot going on, once you have the sequence, once you have the cues, once you have the timing, and you've got that all down perfectly, it's an easy thing to teach because you know the sequence already. So if a teacher phones or a studio phones me and says, I need somebody to teach Hot 26, can you arrive in half an hour? Yes, I can, because I know the sequence, I know the timing, it's in my brain, I know the cues, I've taught it enough that I'm comfortable doing it, and it's easy for me. If somebody says, can you come and teach a vinyasa flow, I might be in the middle of sequencing and I might not have put my flow together 100%, so I might be a little bit, oh, okay, I'm a bit uncomfortable because I haven't quite got it to 100%. So the Hot 26 is there. It's the same postures. Once you've mastered the timing, the cue, and everything else, it's an easy sequence to teach because it's the same all the time. You can teach it at a moment's notice. I don't know if I told you guys this. I did not get my teaching jobs. I think I told you guys this, teaching vinyasa, because there are too many vinyasa teachers. There's a lot. So I got into the studios by teaching Hot 26. So might be an idea to think about maybe venturing out into that. There is a shortage of Hot 26 teachers in Cape Town, because not now during COVID, but generally pre-COVID, and probably once this has all gone away, most of the Hot 26 classes happen at the studios at exactly the same time. So if I need cover and I'm looking for a Hot 26 teacher, that's a problem, because they're all teaching at different studios at the same time. So I would say that there is quite a shortage of Hot 26 teachers in Cape Town, and it is a lot easier to get into teaching, I would say, teaching Hot 26 than vinyasa, because there's just so many more vinyasa teachers. Okay, so if you arrive at a studio and say, I'm a vinyasa teacher, I want a job, they're going to go, oh, well, we've got 20 of them on the waiting list. So
All at all.
Okay, I'm back. Oh my goodness. Sorry, this is terrible.
Here you are. Okay. Found you.
Okay. I can't anymore, Debbie. Okay, I'm back. All right. So
No, that was a response because Zama said you were frozen and you weren't for me, and then you were, and then I was saying, no, I can't see you.
No, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what's going on today. Anyway, okay. So as I was saying, so if you are interested in teaching or doing a Hot 26 course, myself and Penny offer a Hot 26 teachers course. It's approved by Yoga Alliance. It's a 40-hour intensive. We do it over 2 weekends. And once you have got that, you are qualified to go and teach a Hot 26 class, as long as you are capable and you know the timing and you know everything else that you need to know about Bikram. Okay.
Who is it through, Beth?
It's through Wellness Connection, Catherine. But myself and a lady called Penny Cooper, we ran it last year. Pre-COVID, we ran it last year. It went so well. I think we had about 14 people, and quite a few of them have gone on to teach Hot 26 classes at some of the studios already, which is really cool. Pre-COVID, obviously not now, maybe on Zoom at the moment, but yep, it was really it was good. So if you're thinking of getting involved, just keep a lookout on the website. We haven't formalized dates yet. We're just waiting to see what happens with this COVID, because it's much better to do Hot 26 training in studio rather than on Zoom. So we'll see how we go, and hopefully we can do it. We were going to do another one in September, but we cancelled it because of COVID, and we weren't sure what on earth was going on. So unfortunately we had to leave it out, and so we're going to put it back do a course next year. So just keep your eyes open. Okay, and I'm sure Catherine will let you know, and you'll see some of the marketing from the website and on Instagram and wherever else. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Trudy.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear how important is the hot in the Hot 26. So if you've got a studio that, yeah, because I mean, obviously the constraints, or like the physical constraints of a hot studio, is it also beneficial to just do the 26? Or would you then rather not do it? Or
no, that's a good question. Look, I think it's a good sequence. So one of the ladies who actually did the teacher training with us last time, she loves Hot 26. So she just practices it at home whenever she feels like it, without the heat. The poses without the heat are not difficult. When you add the element of heat and humidity, you push people's buttons a little bit more and you make it more challenging. So they need to focus and they need to get into that sense of being in their bodies, and it's a bit more difficult when you add the heat. So no, I don't think, look, if you were teaching it, you would not be able to advertise it as Hot 26, obviously, if you wanted to teach it without the heat. But it's a good sequence. And if you do it without the heat, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You just can't teach it like that. You cannot teach a Hot 26 without heat. Okay, because the whole idea is that it's 40 degrees and it's 60% humidity. But there's no
cool.
We have a joke in Richards Bay that we always do hot yoga.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah,
all yoga's hot yoga. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Sorry, Bev. There's then just the other question is more logistical and practical. What does the studio need for it to be? Oh, it's because obviously ventilation, and you can't just crank up the heat with an aircon.
No, you have to have either, you have to have something that humidifies the air for you. You have to have either a gas heating system, or what a lot of the studios have broken away and are using now is that infrared, which Catherine's got. So there are options, but yes, if you're going to teach Hot 26, and you're setting up a studio to do that, you're going to have to outlay more capital to put in a proper heating system to get the heat and the humidity correct. So yes. Okay, so that is something that does require a bit more energy, effort, and money, unfortunately. Okay, and I know that some of the gas heating systems come from overseas, and as soon as there's a problem with them or something breaks, they're really difficult to get fixed because the South African technicians battle with them, and it's quite something. So I think that's why people are moving away to the infrared, which seems a lot easier to manage, a lot easier to handle. It also heats up a lot quicker. The infrared, I don't know if you know this, but the infrared heats up very quick. The gas system, we used to have to arrive. If I was teaching at 6 o'clock, like I was at Yo Yoga, I would have to get there at 5 o'clock or just past 5 to put the heating system on to make sure that it got up to 40 degrees by the time everybody walked in. It takes a long time to heat up. So you had to get in there and at least half an hour before, if not longer before, you had to be there to switch the heating on and get that heat up to 40 degrees. Otherwise, it just didn't get there, especially in winter. So yes, it's tricky. Okay. Any other questions? No? Everybody fine. Good. Okay. All right. So as I said, it is quite a regimental practice. It is strict. We can't have people walking around. I can't have people reaching for water bottles. I can't have people doing silly things. People are trying to balance, and we move on. After every pose, the word that you use to get them out is change. So I'll say Ardha Chandrasana, we do it to the right hand side, and then I say change, and everybody knows to come out. So that word is used. Anybody that teaches Hot 26 uses that word to get you out of the pose. Okay, it's just one of those things that he used as well, and that's what we bring into the cueing. So that's to get you out of the posture. Okay, as I said, basically the teacher just talks for 60 minutes or 90 minutes. Lots of verbal cues. You micro adjusting in your body all the time. You're using the mirror. You listening to the cues, and you small little movements just to make the pose a bit more challenging, maybe, or to fix something that's not correct, and just to keep your body safe. Okay, and then as Evan, you said, some people just don't listen and are not either not aware of their bodies or they just take it a little bit too far, and then there is a chance of being injured. So there's not much you can do about that. Okay, but it's a good practice for balance, and as I said, it's a good practice for people who don't have or have issues with shoulders, or if they've been doing too many vinyasa classes and their shoulders are sore and they just feel like doing something else. Hot 26 is brilliant because you are not on your hands at all. So it's a nice alternative. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we will do a class, but as I said, I'm not going to do 2 of everything. I'm just going to do 1 so you can get a feel for it. Otherwise, it's going to take a whole hour, and I probably might even take nearly an hour anyway. So let's just have a 10-minute break or so, and at 4:45 we can get on our mats and we can do a sequence, and then we can discuss it afterwards. Okay, so have 10 minutes. I'm going to go and get a glass of water. You have a glass of water, whatever you need to do. 4:45 we'll get started with the class. Okay. Hopefully I don't know whether it must be my internet. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be working that great today. Yeah, get a glass of water. Oh. I don't think you're going to break down the door, but I need you back. Okay. What? Oh, sorry. I'm taking up your space. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Beth,
Yes.
I was going to say, I'm surprised that there's not enough teachers for Hot 26 in Cape Town, because I live between London and Nairobi.
Yes.
And you can't go to London without running into a hot yoga studio. Like,
yes.
I would say 90% of studios in yoga are actually hot yoga studios.
Oh, really?
And
is this in London?
yes, and it just drives me crazy because I wanted the vinyasa flow and I wanted Ashtanga.
Yes.
And it's just almost impossible to find it.
Really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So most of them are hot. And do you know if it's hot, is it hot vinyasa or is it hot 26? Do you know?
It's hot 26.
Oh, wow.
Like when you sequence, like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's hot 26. And like, I think it's nice, but if you want to practice other styles, it is incredibly hard to find, or you would have to go on a tube like 45 minutes to find a studio that like does.
Oh my gosh, that's unreal. I didn't realize that actually. That's amazing. Well, that just shows you how popular Hot 26 is. And despite the fact that Bikram Choudhury cannot come back to America ever because he will be arrested, he is still running teacher trainings in Mexico and Spain. Those are the two that I've heard of and seen. And his teacher trainings are still full. So it's quite strange that some people just don't have a problem with him running teacher training courses, and they don't have a problem with him. If you did watch the documentary, there were quite a few people that praised him for having got them to do Hot 26 and having forced them to do it, because there was one guy who was very overweight, and he says that he swears that the Hot 26 was the practice that made him lose weight. So there were a lot of people that were very grateful and thankful to him, but obviously the women who were abused or whatever, or mistreated by him, obviously that's not acceptable. So they weren't, that the whole program was really about that. But you did have those people that absolutely idolized him and are so thankful to him to this day. So I think it's a good sequence. I really think it works. It's everything feels right. It feels like everything is like a vinyasa class. It's like everything sequenced properly. So I think it's a good sequence, and I think we must just stick to that and just realize that even the person that presented it is not great. The sequence and the practice is actually very, very good.
Yeah,
it's very challenging. It forces you, that heat and the structure of it, and the fact that it's so regimental forces you to focus. So it's quite good. You get a lot of those A-type personality people who really minds are all over the place, and I think they find it easier to focus in a Hot 26, also because they know the sequence, so they know that they're going to get the same thing every time, and I think they like that. But as I said, people that do Hot 26, probably those studios in London are probably full for Hot 26.
They're incredibly full every single time. Every class that I've taken was full. They do advertise a lot for like membership, so like you can get a first month off for like £30 and can go as many classes as you want to.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, but I've been to several of them, and there has never been an empty class at all.
No, it just shows you how popular it is. That's unbelievable. So they probably have a lot of Hot 26 teachers. They have to, I'm sure, to be able to keep going.
That's why when you were talking about it, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, because in London you would have a really hard time finding a job as a Hot 26 teacher. I think you would have an easier time.
Yes, yeah, it's different. Yeah, Hot 26 teachers are difficult to find. Find. So
yeah, it was good. And I'm like, right now I'm in Kenya, and I've been here for the last several months.
Yes.
And there's only one hot yoga studio, and everybody does power yoga.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. Yeah. Isn't Kenya hot anyway?
It is hot. So you do, no matter what class you do, it is hot. It is a hot 20.
They still heat the classes.
No, you can't. I mean, during summer, if you have like the studio I go to is like on top of the building.
Yes.
It's so hot. Like you can't even do Ashtanga really well.
I'm sure not. My goodness. Okay, that's hectic. Sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So you can imagine how bad the power yoga is when it's so hot.
Yes. That's interesting. Okay, Ronelle, you're going to keep everyone else is going to keep your camera off. That's fine. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to get started. What I'm going to do, we've got like a minute, and I'm just going to use that time to demonstrate the first breathing exercise, because if you haven't done it before, it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so if you can all just stand on your mats and just face the front. So I'll demonstrate it first, and then we'll get going. Okay. If you can leave your cameras on, that'll be great, because then I can see what you're doing. But if you have to switch them off, then that's fine. I understand. But it's quite nice to see what you guys are doing. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to show you. I'll show you from the front. It's probably the best. Interlace fingers. Place the first two knuckles underneath the chin. Try and bring the elbows together. So you look from the side. That's what it looks like. And you try not to round it over that too much. Okay. Your inhalation, as you inhale through the nose, you lift the elbows up, and it's a 6-second breath, a 6-second timing to get the elbows lifted as high as you can. Your exhalation is out through the mouth, so it looks like this. As you take the head back, you bring the wrists, forearms, and elbows to touch. Show you from the side. Okay. Then you continue your inhalation, you lower the chin down, and you lift your elbows up. I'm breathing into the nose. Out through the mouth is my exhalation. I tilt the head back, wrists, forearms, elbows touch. So it's not elbows down, it's elbows up and away from the chest. So you can see that it does put quite a bit of compression into the back of the neck, which I was telling you about. Okay, so that's how we do it. And we're going to start. Okay. So standing at the front of your mat, preferably if you can, facing forward. Otherwise, if you need to face the long edge of your mat, then do. But you should be facing the short edge of your mat, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. I'm going to face the front just so you can see. All right. So what we would do is bring the big toes to touch and the heels to touch. Stand up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders. And just take a moment to bow your chin down towards your chest and give yourself a moment just to arrive into your body and into your space. Just clearing your mind, just noticing the breath, and starting to just center yourself so that you are ready to move and breathe. Okay, so let's begin. Eyes open, chin parallel to the floor. Interlace all 10 fingers. Place the first 2 knuckles underneath the chin. Bring the elbows as close together as you can. Maybe bring them to touch. But just make sure you don't round too much through the upper back. Keep your gaze soft and then relax your shoulders. Empty all the air out of your lungs. And let's begin. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze elbows. Inhale. Slowly lower the chin down. At the same time, lift the elbows up. Try and get your forearms to frame your face. Hold at the top. Exhale. Tilt the head back. Breathe out through an open mouth. Slowly wrists, forearms, elbows touch. Squeeze elbows into your lungs. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Elbows high. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Elbows squeeze. Inhale, lift elbows up. Try and lengthen through the spine. Pull the belly in. Elbows high. Relax your shoulders. Exhale, tilt the head back. Slowly, wrists, forearms, elbows touch. At the moment your elbows touch, you empty out your lungs. Good. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause on empty. Inhale. You have 2 more rounds. Lift the elbows. Big breath in. Stand up tall. See if you can get your forearms to frame your face. Exhale. Tilt the head back. Make it a smooth movement with your arms. Synchronize the release of the breath with the movement. As your elbows touch, you empty your lungs. Last one. Inhale. So this is your biggest, your fullest, your deepest breath yet. When you get to the top, see if you can take an extra sip of air and hold. Then exhale to an open mouth. Last time. Slowly. Wrists, forearms, elbows touch. Empty your lungs. And change. Good. Hands down by your side. You can shake out the shoulders. You can shake out the fingers. Okay. Let's begin with Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Take your arms up above your head. Interlace your fingers. Release the index finger. Your thumbs stay crossed. So you have a bind with your hands that looks like that. Okay? Arms up above your head. Take a breath in, lift and lengthen. Then as you exhale, you're going to just lean over towards your right in the side bend. And then inhale to come out through the center. And then exhale over towards your left. So in your own time now, just move the body from side to side, just so you can get a feel for that side bend. So just warming up slowly into your shape. Okay, Dima, I have to answer just now. Okay. And then you can also take a couple of twists towards the corner of the room. So you can rotate your spine a little bit if that feels good. Keeping that bind. You can also fold forward and then release the fingertips at the bottom. Maybe you want to take a little top of the bum down towards the heels, or pedal out through the feet or the legs, or squat between the thighs, just warming your body up a little bit more before we start to move in bigger ways. Good. And stand up tall and find that bind with your hands, arms up above your head. See if you can wriggle your arms behind your ears. Draw the belly in, tuck your tailbone under. Take an inhale, lift up like you're trying to touch the ceiling. As you exhale, you side bend over towards your right. Push your hips to the left. Okay. Press the palms of your hands firmly together. Try and straighten your arms, so lock the elbows. On the side, nudge your right armpit forward, and then nudge your left hip forward. So that you square off your armpits and you square off the hips towards the front of the mat. Pull harder with your right hand so you can stretch more into the left-hand side of the body. And then lean your hips outside your left foot. So use that as a counterbalance. The more that you lean your hips over, the more you can reach your fingers or towards the back corner of the room behind you. Ground down firmly through both of your feet. Use your quad muscles to pull the kneecaps up. Find your edge and hold for 3, 2, 1, and change. Out through the center. Good. Take an inhale, stretch up, grow tall. Exhale, side bend over towards your left. Brace the palms of the hands together. Try and roll your top shoulder open so you nudge your left armpit forward and your right hip forward. Stand up tall, draw the belly in. See if you can lengthen the left-hand side of your waist as much as your right, so you get that half moon shape with the body. Lean the hips over towards the right. That'll give you more of a stretch. Lift up your chin like you're holding a little tennis ball underneath your chin. Good. Go stand firmly through both of your feet. Legs are active. Quads are strong. Keep the face nice and soft. Keep your breath moving in and out of your nose. Find your edge and reach further. Hands over towards the left. Push your hips further towards the right for that stretch along the right-hand side of your body and hold. For 3, 2, 1, and change. Good. Keep the bind of your hands. As you inhale, look up at your hands. Lift the fingertips up higher. Back bend as you exhale. Keep your legs straight, but lean back like you're looking for the back wall behind you. Keep your ears in line with your bicep muscles. Keep pushing your hips and tummy and thighs forward. Make sure you don't feel this in your lower back. So lift the tummy, lift the chest, and then lean back a little bit further as far as you can. 3, 2, 1, and change. Come up to the center. Good. For your forward fold, bend your knees. Reach your arms forward. So you fold forward with a nice long flat spine, and then release your fingertips down to the mat. You can release the bind, you can pedal out through the legs. Just loosen up into your lower back. So do something that feels good after that back bend so that you can come into your forward fold. Feels quite nice to squat between the legs. You can do that. Okay, Padmasana. Bend your knees. Take your hands, slide them down the back of your calf muscles. Take a 10-finger bind underneath your heels from the back. All of your fingers face forward. Now relax your head and your neck completely. Keep your tummy and chest connected to your thighs. Lift the hips, pull on your heels, and straighten your legs as much as you can. Keep the head relaxed. Keep that connection of tummy and chest to thighs. Lean your body weight slightly forward into your toes. Keep your eyes open like you're looking between your legs towards the back of the room. Now see if you can tuck your elbows behind your knees so you snuggle in a little bit closer. Put on your heels, lift your hips, straighten your legs as much as you can, and hold. Good. Change. Bend the knees. Take that same bind of your hands out in front of you. And then lift up nice and tall, lengthen through the spine first, and then you can float your arms down by your sides. Good. Relax the shoulders, relax the face, relax the fingers. We're moving to Utkatasana, awkward squats. Take your right foot out 6 inches on the mat. If you need to measure, take your fists, bend down. Check that you have the distance of 2 of your fists between your toes so that you have the correct line with your feet. You stand up tall, you keep the feet parallel. Lift your arms up parallel to the mat. Reach the fingertips forward. Relax your shoulders. Soften your face. Take a big breath in. As you breathe out, stick your bum out and sit down like you're sitting into a low chair behind you. So check that your knees aren't collapsing in or out. You want the knees to track straight forward. Your body weight is in your heels, so shift your body weight slightly back. Even though you're reaching the arms forward, don't round the shoulders. So keep pulling the shoulders back and down. Take a little lift of your chest so you're not hanging into your legs. Keep reaching the fingertips forward. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Strong work for the legs here. Can you sit lower down into your heels? Can you sit body weight further back and hold? Change. Straighten the legs. Good. Second part. Keep your arms as they are. Lift your heels up really high. You're pushing into all 10 toes. Keep the heels lifted. Take a big breath in. As you breathe out, heels lifted, you're going to slowly bend the knees, keeping your spine straight. And you're going to hover your bottom just above the knee. So you stop, probably at about bar stool height. Keep the arms parallel to the mat. Keep the heels lifted. You're pressing into all 10 toes. Try and lean back so that your spine is straight, so that you stack your shoulders over your hips. Keep lifting your heels. Right heel lifts up, up, up. Left heel lifts up, up, up. Hold, hold, hold. And change. Straighten the legs. Lower your heels down. Good. Third and final part. Arms stay where they are. Squeeze knees and thighs together, so bend your knees slightly. Lean forward. Let your heels float just off the mat. Take a big breath in. Then slowly you lower for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try and hover your bottom just off your heels. Try and lean back so you stack your shoulders over your hips. Squeeze the knees and thighs together. Pull the belly in. Relax the shoulders. Soften your face. Good. And then slowly you come up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And change. Good. Feet together. Hands down by your sides. Relax your shoulders. Breathe in and out of your nose. Your lips stay sealed. Breathe in and out of your nose. Okay, eagle. Take your arms up above your head. Palms of your hands touch. Swing your right arm underneath your left. Cross elbows, cross wrists. That's difficult for you. Cross elbows and hold opposite shoulders. Bend your knees. Sit down like you're sitting into a low chair and then stay low. Lift your right leg up and cross it over the left for your eagle balance cross of your legs. And once you're there, you're going to lean slightly forward, so compress into the hips. Gaze forward. Now pull your hands down, without moving them away from you. Pull the hands down so that eventually you can see your eyes above your fingertips if you're looking in the mirror, or you can see over your fingers. Draw the belly in. You want a neutral spine. But now compress into the joints. So squeeze in the thighs together. Squeeze the palms of the hands, the forearms, and the elbows together. And you bend your standing leg, drop your hips, sink a little bit more, and hold. And change. Arms up above your head, palms of your hands touch. Turn your left arm underneath your right, cross elbows, cross wrists. Bend your knees, sit into that low chair, stay low, don't straighten your legs. Lift the left leg up, cross the left leg over the right. Either hook the foot behind the calf or just point that foot behind you. You create a neutral spine, slightly lean forward as you hinge at the hips. Again, you want to pull the arms down. As the shoulders open, you'll be able to look above your fingertips. Good. Stand firmly on your right leg. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Now bend your standing legs. So you want to get yourself really small. Smallest person with the longest spine. And hold there. Keep breathing. Keep the face soft. Keep that compression into your joints. And change. Nice. Arms up above your head. Palms of your hands connect. And then float your hands down by your sides. Okay, so if you want a water break, quick sip of water. You have a couple of seconds. And then we're going to move on with the balancing. If you're happy to not have water, that's fine. You just stay where you are. Stand at the top of your mat. Feet together. Big toes touch. Heels touch. And we'll meet there. Okay. So moving on with our balancing. First one is standing head to knee. Shift your weight into your left leg. Lift your right leg up in front of you. Your thighs parallel to the floor. Flex your right toes. Straighten your standing leg. Put body weight into the left big toe. From here, suck in the tummy. Fold forward over your right leg. Interlace your hands underneath the ball of your foot. Straighten your standing leg. Once you have that interlace of your hands, check that you haven't crossed your thumbs over the top of your foot. Get your thumbs underneath your foot. Now, lower your right leg so that your thigh is parallel to the mat. Bring your right heel forward so that the heel is underneath the knee. And see if you can gaze forward and draw shoulders away from the ears. Keep pulling the belly in, lift it up, make some space. We would just stay here if we were doing 2 sets. But we're going to try and kick out because we're only doing 1. So slowly now, see if you can extend the leg. Remember, you want it parallel to the mat. Take a little lift of your chest, give yourself some space. Keep pulling on the foot. Once you have that, tuck elbows underneath the calf muscles. Your standing leg is still straight. Once you have that, you can tuck your head to your knee. Gaze down at your standing foot and hold for 3, 2, 1, and change. Feet together, hands down by your sides. Stand up nice and tall. Good. Okay, tricky. Shift your weight into your right leg. Lift your left leg up in front of you. Thigh parallel to the floor. Straight onto the other side. Flex your left toes. Straighten your standing leg. Now suck in your tummy, fold forward. Take that 10-finger bind underneath the ball of your foot. Make sure that you include your thumb so it's all 10 fingers just beneath the toes. Straighten your standing leg. Keep it straight. Now lower the left leg at your thigh parallel to the mat. Bring that left foot slightly forward. The ankle is underneath the knee. You want a sense of lightness in your shape. So lift the belly in and pull it up. Roll shoulders away from ears and then see if you can gaze slightly forward. So either stay here or with me, slowly extend the front leg out. Just kick the heel out. Your thighs are already parallel to the mat. So you try and get the leg parallel to the mat as well. Pull on the toes, flex the foot more. Once you have that and your standing leg is straight, tuck elbows underneath the calf muscles. Final action, forehead to knee. Tuck the head to the knee and see if you can look down at your standing foot and hold for 3, 2, 1, and change. Nice, guys. Well done for what I can see. Good. Okay, awesome. Okay, moving on. Standing bow pulling pose. Stand up tall, feet together, big toes touch, heels touch. Lift your right leg up behind you. Oh, sorry, no. Start somewhere else. Bend your right elbow into your waist and your palm faces up. I'll show you from the front. Okay? Without closing off your shoulder, so without twisting your hand and twisting your shoulder, lift your right leg up behind you and grip your ankle from the inside. Bring your knees and thighs to touch. Lift your left arm up and turn the palm of your hand to face forward. Take a big breath in to lift up through the left-hand side of your body. As you breathe out, don't tilt forward. You're going to kick the leg behind you up into your hand. So try and kick that leg up even higher, like you're trying to get your foot above your head. Try and kick that leg up even higher. When you can't anymore, start to tilt the body down. Reach the left fingertips in front of you. Try and drop your right hip down so that you level out your hips. Keep kicking that foot hard and back into your hand. Keep reaching the fingertips forward. Relax the back shoulder, but now lift the left shoulder up towards your chin so you get more extension into that left arm. Keep your balance, keep your gaze. Kick up and back, reach forward. Kick up and back, reach forward, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and change. Feet together, hands down by your sides, stand up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders. Good. Okay, we move on to the left-hand side. Bend the left elbow into your waist, palm faces up. Lift the left leg up behind you, grip your ankle from the inside. Knees and thighs touch. Lift the right arm up, get the palm of your hand to face forward. Nice and slow. Inhale to stretch up through the right-hand side. Exhale to just kick. So kick that foot hard and back into your hand. You want to get that leg away from you. So kick that foot hard and back into your hand. Get that leg away from you. Let that hamstring, let that glute work. And then let the left shoulder disappear slightly behind you. Good. Kick even harder. Get that leg even higher. When you can't anymore, start to tilt the body down. Drop your chest. And then roll your left hip down so that you level out your hips. Gaze forward. Palm of your hand faces down. Gaze forward if you can. I know it's challenging, but see if you can look forward rather than down. Good. And keep kicking up and back. Keep reaching forward. Keep kicking up and back. Keep reaching forward. Challenge your balance. Steady with your gaze. Steady with your breath. We hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and change. Nice, guys. Feet together. Hands down by your sides, relax the shoulders. Okay, Tudandasana, standing balancing stick. Take a couple of steps towards the back of your mat. Take your arms up above your head and you find that same bind. So you interlace the hands, release the index fingers, your thumbs stay crossed. Wriggle your arms behind your ears. Stand up tall. Take a big step forward with your right foot and hover the left toes off the mat behind you. Inhale to lift the chest and lengthen. Exhale to lower your body down. So if I look at you from the side, you look like a capital T shape. Keep reaching forward with the fingers. Point the back toe and kick that foot towards the back of the mat. Try not to hang your head. See if you can get your ears in line with your bicep muscles. And roll your left hip and your left rib cage down. Reach forward, kick back, hold. 3, 2, 1, change. Step the foot back, keep your arms up, keep them working a little longer. Stand up tall, belly in. Take a big step forward with your left foot, hover the right toes. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, lower to that capital T shape. Upper body and back leg all parallel to the mat. Gaze slightly down, or look underneath your hands if you can, mindful of your neck. Reach forward, roll the right rib cage and the right hip down. Point that back foot. You kick that foot strongly out behind you. Reach forward, kick back, hold for 3, 2, 1, change. Step back. Good, and you can relax your arms down by your sides. Hold on. Okay, take a couple of steps towards the front of your mat and then turn to face the long edge of your mat. So you should be facing the long edge of your mat. Okay, we move together. Arms up above your head, palms of your hands touch. Take a big step out towards the back of the mat. Check that your toes are parallel. Then lower your hands to a T and check that your wrists are above your ankles. So check that your legs are quite wide. And check that your toes point straight forward. You want a nice long spine here. As you inhale, can you lift the chest and lengthen? And as you exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Try and look forward as long as you can. And then you take a bind around the back of the heels or on your calves or your shins. Don't tuck your chin. Lift your chin up. You're trying to get the chin down to the mat. Both of your legs are straight. Shift body weight forward into your heels. Good. Now use your arms. Bend your elbows towards your legs. Fold in as deep as you can. See if you can get your forehead as close to the mat as you can. Nice. And then slowly you're going to lift up and out. Take your arms out nice and wide. Then step your feet together. Palms touch above your head. And then relax your arms down by your sides. Good. Breathe. Big breaths in and out of your nose. Hey, triangle, Trikonasana. Arms up again, palms of your hands touch. Take that same wide step out towards the back of the mat. Lower your hands to a T. Turn the palms of your hands to face forward. Turn your right toes 90 degrees and face straight towards the back of your mat. And then bend into that right knee a couple of times and just feel it out. You might just want to feel how you feel as you try and get your right thigh parallel to the mat. Check that your right knee stays above your right ankle. Check that your back leg is straight. Hold that. Tuck the tailbone, pull the belly in. Now reach with your right arm forward as far as you can, and then lower the right hand down, lift the left arm up so you're in your Trikonasana. Right fingers float just off the mat. Left hand lifts straight up towards the ceiling. If your neck is comfortable, you look up at your top hand. It does make it a little bit more challenging. Check that you're pressing into the outside leg of your left foot. Keep pushing your right elbow into your right knee so you keep that knee tracking over your toes. Pull your belly in, hold and breathe for 3, 2, 1. Change. Straighten the back leg, turn those toes in. Turn your left toes out 45 degrees. Same thing again, feel into it, bounce into that hip a couple of times. And then you hold the leg steady. Check that your left knee is over your ankle. If your left thigh is parallel to the mat, tuck the tailbone, pull the belly in. Reach, reach, reach as far forward as you can. Lower the left hand down, right arm straight up towards the ceiling. Again, use your left elbow, push it into your left knee. Your neck is comfortable, look up and try and roll your top shoulder sort of up and back so that you get it away from your ear. Pull your belly in. Activate your back leg, make sure you feel weight in that back foot so your front foot is not doing all the work. Keep breathing, you need your breath here. Hover the left fingertips off the mat. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and change. Nice, straighten the left leg, turn the toes in. Step your feet together, palms touch above your head. Relax your arms down by your sides. Good. Okay, standing separate, head to knee, arms up, palms touch. Please just cross your thumbs. Take a smaller step out towards the back of your mat, about ½ meter. Then pivot on your toes and get everything to face the back. So square hips, square shoulders. Your left foot is out at 45 degrees. Take a breath in, lift and lengthen. As you breathe out, tuck your chin to your chest, round to the upper back, dive the fingertips down, and then remember you want to get your forehead to the knee, so bend the right knee as much as you can so that you can get that connection. Keep reaching the fingertips forward, or if your balance is challenged, you can just separate your hands. Check that your back leg is straight and that you push the heel down, and then bump your right hip back and your left hip forward. Hold with that forehead to knee connection. Suck your belly in, lift it up, get your forehead to knee connection a bit higher and hold. If your hands are apart, walk them back into prayer, cross your thumbs. Slowly change, come up and out. Slowly. Turn to face the long edge of your mat. Pivot everything to face towards the front. Square hips, square shoulders, right foot 45 degrees. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to tuck your chin round the upper back. Dive fingertips to the floor. Get that forehead to knee connection. If you can do it with a straight leg, that's fine. If you can't, bend the left knee as much as you need to. Get your forehead to press into the knee. Push the back heel down. Straighten your back leg. Keep rounding through the upper back. Pull the chin close to the chest. Suck the belly in. Lift it up. Your hands are apart. Try and bring them back together. Cross your thumbs. And change slowly up and out. Turn towards the long edge of your mat. Step your feet together. Relax your hands down by your sides. Good. Okay. You can turn towards the front of your mat. We have tree and toe stand, and then we'll be in our Shavasana after this. Feet together, big toes touch, heels touch, stand up nice and tall. Shift your weight into your left leg. I'll show you from the front. Bend the right knee up into your chest. And then take that foot and guide it into the crease of your left hip. So the sole of your foot should face up towards the ceiling. Hold that foot underneath with your left hand. Bring your right hand to your chest and get your right knee to point down. So don't leave it pointing forward. See if you can get the knee to point more down towards the mat. Stand up tall. Relax your shoulders. Belly in, tailbone tucked. So you stand in your tree pose with your half lotus. If you find that you are all folded over, you can take traditional tree. Okay. If you want to try a toe stand, you can go with me. Hinge forward at the hips. Then fingertips to the mat. Take your fingertips slightly away from you. And then drop your bottom to hover just off your left heel. Then walk your hands back towards you. And now see if you can bring one hand to prayer, maybe both hands to prayer, as you push down to the board of that bottom foot. It's not easy. Keep your balance with your breath. Keep your balance with your eyes as much as you can. Good. Toe stands. Come out. Take your hands away from you. Take pressure off the knees. Lean forward and then lift the hips. And then you can come back into your tree pose. Hold the foot from underneath if you can. Hands to create your heart. And to change, kick the right leg forward. And then feet together. Good. Stand up tall. Big toes touch, heels touch. Shift your weight to your right leg. Bend your left leg up in front of you high as you can. Take that heel from underneath, guide it up and over towards your right hip crease. Sole of your foot faces up. Hold the foot from underneath with your right hand. Bring your left hand to prayer at your chest. Good. Yes, nice guys. Find your tree pose. Ground down firmly through your standing leg. Stand up tall, belly in. Keep your balance. Keep your gaze. Good. If you want to try that toe stand, hinge forward from your hips. Yep. Yes, Sharice, you've got it. Fingertips away from you. Take weight off the knee to drop your bottom to hover just off your heel. Yes. And then see if you can bring your hands. Nice, Noel. See if you can bring your hands to prayer. If you can. Good. Press down into the ball of that standing foot. Oh, nice. Nice, Trudy. Beautiful. Okay, toe stands. You can come out slowly, fingertips to the floor, lift the hips, and then make your way back to your tree pose. Nice and slow. Hold the foot from underneath if it feels like it's going to slip off for a little bit of support. Very nice. Good, and then change. Extend your left leg forward towards the mirror, and feet together, hands down by your sides. Well done. Okay, that's the end of the standing sequence. Turn around, Shavasana. Feet towards the back. Head towards the front. Lie down in your Shavasana. Remember, it's active. Hands close to your hips. Heels together. Eyes open. So just gaze at something on the ceiling and keep your focus. And here you can just connect to your breath. So just feel the breath moving in and out of your nose. Allow the face to soften. Allow the body to relax. Okay. We're moving on with Pavana Muktasana, wind removing pose. Keep your left leg where it is. Pull the right knee up to your chest, interlace all 10 fingers on the right shin. Pull the leg in towards your chest, then take it out towards your hip, and then pull it back in so you avoid the rib cage. Flex both of your feet. Relax your shoulders. And as you pull the right knee in, you kick the left heel away from you. So compressing into the right, but stretching into the left. Pull slightly harder with your left hand so that you keep the whole left hand side of your body glued to the mat. You breathe together, take a big breath in. As you breathe out, pull that knee down nice and tight. Get that compression, hold it, feel it. And change. Right leg extends. Left knee up to your chest, interlace your fingers on the shin, flex both of your feet. Pull the knee in, take it out, avoid the ribs, and then pull it in again. Feel that compression in your left hip flexor, and kick out to the right heel. Almost tuck your chin a little, like you're trying to look at your left knee, but relax your shoulders, relax your face. Keep squeezing with that hand, with your grip on your shin to pull the knee in tight. Take a big breath in. Exhale, pull the knee in, hold it, feel it, and change. Okay, both knees up into your chest. And this time you can try your deepest grip. So maybe you can wrap across your shins and hold opposite elbows. If you can't, just grab forearms or just interlace the fingers. Push your tailbone, your lower back flat. As you wrap your arms across your legs, you pull the legs down, but you push the legs up into the arms at the same time. So getting a compression into the abdominal region, but then lengthening through the whole back. Make sure your head and shoulders are on the floor. And you can flex or point your feet. I like to encourage people to point their feet here, so that when we come to kneeling, they've had a bit of a chance to stretch the tops of the feet. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, pull the knees in. Keep your spine nice and flat. Pull, pull, pull. And change. Okay. First Bikram sit up. Flex your toes. Arms overhead. Cross just your thumbs. Take a big breath in. Hold your breath. Sit up to 90 degrees, still holding your breath. And then double exhale out with the mouth as you reach for your toes. Okay, turn around. Let's start the spine strengthening series. Now on your tummy, Bhujangasana Cobra. And I'm not going to demonstrate these because these you probably know. So you're facing the front of your mat now. Yep. Lie down, untuck your back, untuck your toes. Hands underneath your shoulders. Elbows tuck in towards the ribs. Okay, empty all the air out of your lungs. And then as you inhale, lift your chest up into your cobra. Try not to use your hands. Tops of the feet press down. Squeeze elbows in. Shrug shoulders back and down. Now, see if you can lift your hands off the mat. Yes, lower the hands. Lift up a little bit higher. And change. Good. Lower down. And then put your left ear on the mat. Look towards the right-hand side. Left ear on the mat, look towards the right. Take your hands, rest them alongside you. Yep. Take your hands, extend them towards your feet. Good. Now bring your big toes to touch and let your heels flop out. That is our resting pose between the shapes, okay? Nope, just legs on the ground, your big toes touch, your heels flop out. So you're just relaxing the legs, the lower back, don't squeeze your glutes. Good. Okay, next one is a little bit tricky, half locust. Look forward, chin to the floor. Take your hands, turn the palms of your hands down and wriggle your arms underneath your body. So the pinky fingers touch, elbows touch, forearms touch. So it's an uncomfortable shape to get into. Wriggle your arms completely underneath your body, palms of the hands touch. Pinky fingers touch, palms of the hands down. Yes, good. Now bring your feet together, heels touch, toes touch. Chin to the floor or kiss the mat with your lips. Good. Empty all the air out of your lungs. As you inhale, lift your right leg up as high as you can. Right leg lifts. Lift your right leg up. Good. Point your toes. Straighten that knee. Now roll the right hip down so that you feel that hip on your hand. So you're not cheating by opening up the hip. Good. Lift that right leg up higher. And change. Empty all the air out of your lungs. As you inhale, left leg lifts up as high as you can. Round through the upper back and the shoulders. Point the toes like you're trying to get the sole of your foot to tickle the ceiling. Lock the knee. Now roll that left hip down. Good. Lift the left leg up a little higher. and change. Okay, next bit is tricky. Keep your hands where they are, but I want you to walk them closer towards your feet. So like a little caterpillar, tuck your toes and try and nudge your upper body forward. Good. And then kiss the mat with your lips and get really round through the upper back. So round your shoulders like a hunchback through the upper back. Remember for this one, don't do it yet, but you're going to have to kick the legs up behind you. They're not going to float up by themselves, okay? And we're going to do it like a Valsalva move. So we're going to do it on an empty lung when you breathe out. Okay, so look forward, kiss the mat with your lips, keep rounding through the upper back. Okay, so take a big breath in, a big breath out. The bottom of that breath out, kick your legs up as high as you can. Kick, 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 kick your legs up. Good. Push down into your hands. Keep rolling the shoulders round. Good. Your legs are straight. Kick the legs up, 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 high as you can. Beautiful, Sharice. That looks amazing. Up, 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 and change. Very nice. Beautiful. Place your right ear on the mat. Hands come out from underneath you. Wriggle your fingers. Big toes touch. Heels flop out. Relax. Breathe. Very nice, guys. That's very difficult. Good. Okay, look forward, chin to the floor. We're doing full locust. Take your arms out wide to a capital T alongside you. Palms of your hands face down. Good. Empty all the air out of your lungs. And then as you inhale, lift everything up. Lift your chest, your shoulders, and kick your feet up at the same time. So everything lifts off the floor. Good, your legs are straight, lift the chest, lift the arms. Now turn your palms to face forward, thumbs face up towards the ceiling. Try and see if you can lift up a little bit higher, lift the arms, lift the legs, and change. Beautiful, lower down, left ear to the floor, look towards the right, hands alongside you, relax your legs, relax your glutes, just breathe. Okay, we end up with Dhanurasana floor bow. Look forward, chin to the mats. Bend your knees behind you. Take a grip on your feet from the outside, just underneath your toes. Bring the knees and thighs as close together as you can. Good. Empty all the air out of your lungs. As you inhale, lift up for your Dhanurasana. So you lift your chest, you kick the feet up into your hand and lift your thighs off the floor. Yes, try not to rock backwards and forwards. See if you can balance on the soft part of your belly. Have a strong grip on your feet. Squeeze shoulder blades together. Good. See if you can lift up as high as you can. Up, 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 all the way up. And change. Lower down. Good. Right ear to the mat. Look towards the left. You've got it. Hands down. Big toes touch. Heels flop out. Nice, guys. Okay. This is the only time that you use your arms. Hands underneath the shoulders. Push yourself up and then walk your knees forward and then sit your bum down on your heels. Okay, so we're coming into that Virasana pose or fixed firm. So take your heels outside your hips and see if you can sit your bum down between your heels. I can't, so I'm not going to do that. If you can't, just bring your heels to touch and sit up. If you can, sit your bum down. You can separate the knees a little bit, but don't let the knees lift off the floor. If you're comfortable here, hands onto your feet, lower halfway down onto the elbows. Feel out your knees. If you're comfortable, you lower all the way down. And then lift your arms, grab opposite elbows, tuck the chin and lift your chest up so you have a back bend through the upper back. If you're sitting, you do the same thing. So you hold your elbows and you just pull the arms apart so you're doing something active. Wherever you are, you just stay and breathe. So if you all are all the way down, just be mindful of your joints. Is anybody all the way down? Ah, yes. Okay, good. Good. And we spend about 40 seconds here, so it's quite a while just to relax. And as I said, people that can get into the pose just find it super, super comfy to stay there. Good. All right, and then to change, come out slowly. So hands onto your feet, lift onto one elbow, then the other elbow, lift yourself up. Turn around, Shavasana, head towards the front of the mat, feet towards the back. And this should feel good because you extend the legs out. When you just let blood flow, return to the bottom of the legs. Remember, it's an active Shavasana, eyes open, relax. your body. We do our sit-up, flex your toes, hands up above your head, cross just your thumbs. Take a big breath in, hold your breath, sit up, and then double exhale, reach for your toes. Okay, turn around, we move into Ardha Kamasana, half tortoise. Sit on your knees, drop your sitting bones down towards your heels, and try and keep your sitting bones on your heels. Take your arms up above your head, palms of your hands touch, cross just your thumbs. Inhale to lift the chest and lengthen. As you exhale, you're going to lower the fingertips down. Go nice and slow, keep your sitting bones on your heels. And then you can land the forehead to the floor and straighten your arms. So press into the fingertips, lift the wrists, lift the elbows up. And see if you can find that strength through the arms, a little bit of an opening up into the shoulders as you lift the fingertips and the elbows off the floor. Yes, good. Nice. And then keeping your sitting bones on your heels, lift yourself up and out slowly. Arms still reach out in front of you. Lift yourself up, sitting bones to heels. Good. And then relax your hands down by your sides. Okay, we're going to come straight into camel from here. Lift the sitting bones up, separate your knees hip width distance apart. Take your hands to your lower back and slide them down like you're fitting them into jeans pockets. Send your hips, tummy, thighs forward. Breathe in to lift the chest. And as you breathe out, you're going to lean backwards. Keep lifting the middle of your heart up. Keep sending hips, tummy, thighs forward. If you can, you reach down and hold onto one heel and then the other heel. And then you lift away from the heels. Keep pushing the hips, tummy, thighs forward. Keep lifting your chest up. And don't drop your head back. It makes it difficult to talk and to breathe. You want to lift your head up. So come into that shape rather. Keep hips and tummy and thighs moving forward. Heart space moving up. Hold, hold, hold. And change. Good. Hands to your lower back. Lift yourself up. Sit down on your heels. Shavasana, turn around. We never leave this one out. Always Shavasana after camel. Lie down. Camel can spike your heart rate, it can spike your breath. So you really need to just take a rest after that one. Okay, sit up, arms up above your head, cross your thumbs, flex your toes. Take a big breath in, hold your breath. Sit up, double exhale. Turn around, face the front, Sasangasana, a rabbit pose. Knees together. Take a grip on your heels with your thumbs facing outwards and your fingers facing inwards. Thumbs out, fingers in, you're holding onto your heels. Good. Now, lift your sitting bones away from your heels. Roll forward like a wheel, and then get the top of your head to touch the mat with your eyes as close to your knees as possible. Hold onto your feet, let your arms straighten. So holding onto your feet lets you control the weight in your head. So make sure you have little to no weight in the crown of your head. Good, your arms are strong like cables. Good, now pull the belly in and lift it up. So get more rounding through the spine. Make sure the top of your head is not on the mat, not your forehead. Middle of the crown of your head, not your forehead. Otherwise, you're taking too much compression into the neck. Nice, guys. Beautiful. Change. Yep, lift yourself up and out. Good. Okay, let's come into Paschimottanasana from here. Swing your hips over towards the left. Take your right leg, extend it out towards the corner of your mat. Pull the left foot in so the sole of your foot touches the inside of your right thigh. Flex your right toes. Arms up above your head, palms of the hands touch, cross your thumbs. Interlace your fingers, I beg your pardon. Interlace your hands and then turn to face the right leg. Bend the right knee a little and fold forward and interlace the hands on the ball of your right foot. And then you want to get your forehead to touch your knee. If you can do it with a straight leg and your forehead is still on your knee, that's fine. Otherwise, bend the right knee as much as you need to. Make that forehead to knee connection. Then roll your left shoulder and your left rib cage down and push that spot between your eyebrows into your knee. Pull on the foot so that you can flex the toes more. Keep the bind of your hands and change. So lift your arms up and then change your legs. See if you can not use your hands. Left leg out, right foot comes in, Sole of the foot touches the inside of your left thigh. Turn to face the left leg, flex the toes, fold forward, interlace the hands in the ball of the foot. Forehead to knee connection, bend the knee as much as you need to. Keep pulling on the toes, flex the foot. Roll your right shoulder and your right rib cage slightly down so you're not peeling yourself open. You want to level out your shoulders. Forehead to knee, get that spot between the eyebrows to press firmly into the knee. Tuck the chin to the chest, pull the belly in, get more rounding through the spine. Good. All right, change, lift yourself up and out. Straighten your legs out in front of you. Palms of the hands touch, roll slowly all the way down onto your back. Take your arms overhead, cross your thumbs, flex your feet. Here comes our sit-up. Take a big breath in, hold your breath, sit up to 90, double exhale, shh, out of your mouth. Good. Okay, Paschimottanasana. Keep the legs out in front of you. We're going to take a peace finger bind. First 2 fingers around your big toe. Now move the hips from side to side so you can shift your bum back a little bit. Take an inhale to lift the chest and lengthen. And then exhale to fold into your Paschimottanasana. Keep flexing the toes like you're trying to stand on something in front of you. Relax the shoulders away from the ears and look forward. Keep flexing the toes. You get more of a stretch into the back line of your body. Okay, change, lift yourself up and out. Spinal twist, keep the left leg where it is. Bend the right leg up, bend the knee, cross that foot over the left leg. If you want to, you can bend the left knee, but then make sure both sitting bones are on the floor. Right hand presses down behind you, keep it close to you. Inhale to lift the left arm up. Exhale to twist with the elbow on the knee, and then twist to look behind you. Keep pressing the right hand down to lift the spine. If you want to, you can maybe reach down and see if you can hold your bottom knee. If you can, if you want to take it a little bit deeper. Otherwise, elbow to knee is fine. And then relax the neck a little and look over your right shoulder. And then change, gaze forward. Stop your legs out. Right leg is straight, left leg up and over. If you want to bend the right knee, that's fine, but then ground and anchor both sitting bones down. Left hand behind you. Inhale the right arm up. Exhale to twist, elbow on the knee, twist to look over your left shoulder. Make sure your left hand is not away from you, otherwise your shape is going to look like this and it's going to be round and uncomfortable. So you want the back hand close to you, lengthen on the inhales and twist on the exhales. And change, gaze forward. Okay, Kapalabhati breathing, last one. Sit on your knees. Unless this is uncomfortable. If this is uncomfortable, you can sit in a cross-legged seat. I'm going to come a little bit closer so I can show you this one. Okay, so you're sitting with your hands on your thighs, and I'm going to show you what your belly button and your tummy needs to do for this Kapalabhati if you haven't done it before. Okay, so you take a big breath in, and you push the belly out, let it be soft, and then your exhales look like this. So as I snap the navel in, I breathe the air out of my mouth. Okay, the inhalations take care of themselves. You don't have to worry about that. If you find it difficult, put one hand on your tummy so that you can almost get that synchronization. Okay, we're going to do it together. Sit up nice and tall. Don't use your shoulders for the breathing. You're just using your belly. You're just going to synchronize first. So take a big breath in through the nose. Open your mouth. Okay, here we go. Take a big breath in, push the belly out, let it be soft. And let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe it all out, relax your hands down. Good. Take a big breath in, guys. Gather up everything from your practice. Open your mouth. Just sigh it all out. Hands to create your heart, bow chin down towards your fingers. Seal of your practice in whichever fashion you choose. Then turn around, head towards the front of the mat, feet towards the back for your final Shavasana. And this one is like any other Shavasana. You take up space, you close your eyes, and you allow your body to relax. I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes in your Shavasana before we get up and have a chat. So just let your breath return to normal breathing. Feel your heart rate slow down. And just surrender to your practice. Relax your whole body. Let everything be really, really heavy and soft. All right, when you are ready, just make your way slowly up to a seat. So that may mean that you roll onto one side of your body, do something that feels comfortable, or just rock yourself up into a seat, whatever feels better for you. And then cross your legs. So come into Sukhasana, easy seat. Just sit cross-legged, any shin out in front of you. Good. Okay. Good. Namaste, guys. Well done. Awesome. Okay. Questions. Who absolutely hated it? Anybody? Okay. Who loved it and would want to do it again? Maybe in heat? Nobody. Neutral. Okay. Okay. Any other comments at all about anything? Comments, questions? You have a little bit more time. Ask me anything you want to. Ask me about the sequence. Tell me if you hated it. Tell me if you enjoyed it. Okay, even nude, yes.
I ironically liked it much better than in the heat.
Ah, okay. It's easier without the heat. The pose,
it is.
Yeah, it's definitely, look, you don't get as deep, but it's easier because the heat just adds that other factor that just really you need to focus more, and you just find like you running out of breath, and you really need to focus more on your breathing, and you just breathe in and out of your nose. So notice that I didn't cue breath. Okay, yeah. There's no cueing of breath. I don't go inhale and exhale in Hot 26. You breathe on your own. So you need to regulate that breath quite comfortably for yourself. But that's interesting.
For me, it's because in the heat, I tend to faint easier.
Yeah.
And so doing the hot yoga is I often find myself just going to child pose in Hot 26. Well, when I was doing it now, there was not that heat, so I could actually do it.
Yes, that's amazing. That's why one of those other girls on the previous course, she practices Hot 26 at home on her own often. So it's a good sequence, and it's comfortable to do without the heat. The heat just adds a whole nother dimension to it. So if you haven't done it in the heat, go and do it at least once. If you hate it, you hate it, but at least you've tried it. Okay. Zama.
So I'm opposite to Eva. I actually miss the heat because
okay, that's interesting.
I really like the heat because I felt like it was defensively. So without it, it just felt weird.
Okay, did you build up any sweat on your own or not really?
Not really at all.
I didn't work you guys too hard. I only did one set of each, so no. So good. Okay, so you're the opposites. Okay. Who managed that standing head to knee? Who managed to get that quite comfortably? Did anybody? Okay, did anybody find that really, really tricky? Was it difficult or was it easy? Same as them. Okay. Noel, I think you did it. How did it feel for you?
Yeah, I think getting there, I think I've got to just strengthen a little bit more, and hamstrings are still very, very tight.
Yeah, because your leg was hanging down just a little bit, not too much, but it wasn't
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But
I'll focus on that. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. You just, and if you can't do, if you want to practice in the future, you just stay in that first shape where your hands are interlaced under your foot, and you just stay there.
Okay.
And maybe you try and get out, and then one day you'll be able to hopefully get it parallel to the mat, which is what you're aiming for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just find a lot of the poses are pretty strong, so you've got to kind of take a month before you do this. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
You're a soldier, by the way. Yeah.
I know. I have to be honest with you. Good effort. Well done. Okay.
Thanks.
So that's interesting. Okay, so standing here to me, I find very, very difficult, but it is more difficult in the heats as well for some unknown reason. Everything is more difficult in the heats. So if you manage that one, okay, and it didn't feel so bad for you, that's fine. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you guys about it. Zama, are you still wanting to ask a question, or was that from previous? Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, Charisse.
I'm struggling with the double breathing on the sit-up.
Yes.
How do you manage that so quickly?
You have to do it quickly. So it's literally you come up holding your breath, and then it's like a little double bounce that you do, and you exhale out of your mouth at the same time. Shh, shh. So it's quick. Yep, yes. It's quite, it is quick. Those sit-ups are quick. We don't mess around with them. I did them a little bit slower today, but they're quick, because that's basically just a transition. So it's literally hands overhead, flex your toes, take a big breath in, hold your breath, sit up, double exhale. Quick, done and dusted. It's not a whole long, slow process. So
I think I was just a little bit too slow.
Yes. Yeah, no, they're quick. They're very quick. They're very quick. Okay, cool. Okay, and if people have issues with their lower back, they can leave the sit-ups out, and they can just turn around and lie on their tummy. Okay, so that is an option. Wait, Demiji, you asked me a question about your asthma. Oh, where's it gone now? Asthma is a bit too intense for the breathing. What do you mean your asthma is a bit too intense for the breathing? Was that the pranayama, deep breathing? Just let me know what you mean. Where are you?
Yeah, it was in the beginning. I was struggling with my asthma, but then I realized that it wasn't carrying on, so I left it.
Okay.
But I struggled quite a bit with my knees, because I have very niggledy knees with past injuries, and I felt there was a lot of load on the knees throughout. So I struggled with that quite a bit.
Okay, so if people have issues with the knees, they can put something soft under the knees, or roll the mat up and place something soft under the knees. But there's a lot of, we're kneeling a lot. For those forward folds, you do it's a lot of kneeling, so it can be uncomfortable on the knees if you have issues with your knees. And then obviously your fixed firm, that Supta Vajrasana, you would have had to have just stayed seated. Yeah. Okay. The breathing with the asthma, I also have asthma. It doesn't really affect me, but sometimes I'll just use a puff before I go and do a class just in case. But I must say I haven't really noticed that it's affected me in any way. So, and Kapalabhati breathing, I had this question on the last course. Kapalabhati breathing it's stimulating. Okay, it fires you up. It's a stimulating breath. So somebody asked me, why on earth would he put Kapalabhati breathing right at the end before you're going to go into Shavasana? Okay, so I did a bit of research on this. Penny and I both researched it because it's quite an interesting question. And I think the reason is it gets a lot of oxygen to the blood, and oxygen is healing for your muscles. So when you lie down in Shavasana, you have extra oxygen because you've done a very fiery breathing exercise. And hopefully that will just help to settle the body and produce a little bit of more healing of the muscles in your body. Okay, so I mean, this is just something that we researched because somebody said to me, you can't do Kapalabhati breathing before you do Shavasana. It's too intense. It fires you up too much. But I think that's the reason. And also, it doesn't seem to worry people. People can still lie in Shavasana. I don't see people, restless or uncomfortable or whatever. You are exhausted after you've done that practice in the heat, and Shavasana feels amazing at the end. It really does. So I think people are comfortable doing that breathing exercise and then coming into Shavasana. It's not a problem. Okay, just in case you were interested. So your camel is your peak pose really of the sequence. There's a lot of forward folding, back bending, as you may have noticed, and that's just part of the sequence. The spine strengthening series I find really nice because you slowly build up. You use the upper part of your body, then the lower part of your body, then you use both together, and then you do your Dhanurasana where you grab your feet and then lift up. So I find that all synchronizes together quite nicely, and it feels good for your spine. Yeah, balancing is so difficult. You know, you guys are aware of your body and you do yoga, so maybe balancing on one leg for you guys is easy. But if you have beginners or people that don't normally do any form of exercise or very little form of exercise, balancing on one leg is very difficult. So those balancing poses we do on one leg are really, really challenging for a lot of people. You have people will fall out or struggle with their balance or whatever, and hopefully with time you can just strengthen all the muscles in the legs and around the feet, and they can get their balance a little bit better. But remember, you do have a mirror in front of you, and your gaze helps for balance. So I would be cueing that if I was teaching in a class. I'd be saying, look in the mirror. I'm not saying it to you guys because you don't have, I don't know if you probably don't have mirrors. So I'd be saying, look in the mirror and do this and look in the mirror. And so we cue all the time to look in the mirror, because that's people's balance as well. As soon as you drop your gaze, whatever, you tend to lose your balance. That's why standing head to knee is difficult, because as soon as you tuck your chin, you lose your balance. Okay. Right. I think I have told you everything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've left out. I don't think so. Mentioned the timing. I've mentioned all of that. Yep. So yeah. So if you can get your cues, you heard how I spoke all the time. All those cues, if you can get your cueing, if you can get your timing right, you can teach Hot 26. And once you've got it, you've got it. I haven't taught Hot 26 for, I don't know, good 3 months. I taught it on the last class, but I don't teach it at the studios at the moment. And it's all there. I didn't even have to think about it. It's all there. So once you've got it, you've got it. Okay, whereas if you're doing vinyasa, you're having to sequence all the time, which is quite tricky. Okay, guys, if there are no more questions, and everybody is happy, then we will end here. So we're ending about 10-15 minutes earlier. Okay, so go and have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your course. I look forward to seeing, I'm sure I'll see messages on the group when you guys have qualified, and I look forward to seeing your journeys and where you go from here. So lots of luck and lots of love. And namaste. Thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your weekend. Okay. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.